Most people think January is the wrong time to plant anything. They wait. They pause. They assume the garden is asleep. But what if I told you January is actually the month smart gardeners quietly get ahead? The month when food is planted, roots are built, and harvests are prepared long before anyone else even starts. Welcome to Daily Plant Life, the channel where we grow food with timing, not guesswork. Here, we break the myth that gardening has to wait for perfect weather and show you exactly what to plant when it matters most. If you want to grow stronger crops, harvest earlier, and stop missing planting opportunities, make sure you like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications. Because today, we're diving into 15 crops you should be growing in January, and by the end of this video, you'll never look at this month the same way again. Crop number 1, Kale. Kale is one of the strongest crops you can plant in January because it is naturally built to handle cold, slow conditions. When kale is planted this early, it does not rush to produce leaves. Instead, it focuses first on building a deep, stable root system that anchors the plant and prepares it for long-term production. This early root development is what allows January kale to keep producing leaves for months without slowing down. The cool weather also changes how kale tastes. Slow growth reduces bitterness and allows natural sugars to develop in the leaves, resulting in a sweeter, more tender harvest than summer-grown kale. Kale does not need rich soil to succeed, but it benefits from soil that drains well and stays evenly moist. Overwatering is more harmful than light neglect, especially early on. Once established, kale becomes extremely resilient. Light frost does not damage it, and cool nights actually improve leaf quality. Harvesting kale properly is what keeps it productive. By removing the oldest lower leaves first, you signal the plant to continue growing upward instead of flowering. Over time, kale becomes one of the most reliable food sources in the garden, quietly producing even when other crops slow down. Crop number 2, Swiss chard. Swiss chard is an ideal January crop because it combines toughness with steady productivity. Unlike more delicate greens, chard does not panic when temperatures fluctuate. January planting gives it time to develop thick roots that help regulate moisture uptake later in the season. This early root strength is why Swiss chard can survive dry spells better than many leafy crops. Chard grows in a calm, predictable rhythm. It doesn't rush, but it doesn't stall either. The leaves grow large and strong, and harvesting them correctly extends the life of the plant. By cutting the outer leaves and leaving the center intact, you allow new leaves to continue forming week after week. Swiss chard does not bolt easily, which makes it forgiving for beginners who miss ideal timing. It also does not require heavy feeding. In fact, too much fertilizer can cause excessive leaf growth at the expense of plant health. One of the reasons Swiss chard feels easy to grow is that it shows you exactly how it's doing. Healthy leaves stand upright and glossy, while stress shows early, giving you time to adjust care. Over time, Swiss chard becomes a dependable presence in the garden. Crop number 3, mustard greens. Mustard greens thrive in January because cool temperatures balance their natural intensity. When planted in warm conditions, mustard greens can become overly spicy and bolt quickly. January planting slows everything down in the best way. Seeds germinate steadily, plants establish without stress, and leaf production becomes the main focus. Mustard greens grow well in average soil and do not require perfect conditions to succeed. This makes them ideal for gardeners who are still learning soil preparation. Once the plants are established, harvesting becomes a rhythm rather than a task. Cutting outer leaves encourages branching and continuous growth. Even if you delay harvesting, mustard greens adapt rather than failing outright. Cool weather also improves leaf texture, making them softer and more pleasant to eat. Mustard greens respond well to partial shade, which gives gardeners flexibility in placement. Over time, they become one of the fastest and most satisfying crops to grow early in the year, providing visible progress when many other plants are still settling in. Crop number 4, peas. Peas are one of the clearest examples of why January planting matters. Peas are not heat-loving plants, and when planted too late, they rush to flower and produce poorly. January planting gives peas the cool conditions they need to focus on root development first. Strong roots mean stronger vines, healthier flowers, and better pod production later. Peas do not require heavy feeding because they naturally improve soil by fixing nitrogen. This makes them valuable not just for harvest, but for overall garden health. Once peas begin climbing, their growth becomes very predictable and easy to manage. Simple support is enough to guide them upward. January-grown peas flower at the right time, avoiding stress from rising temperatures. Harvesting pods regularly encourages continued production. Peas reward attention, but they do not punish mistakes harshly. Their calm, cooperative growth makes them one of the most satisfying cool season crops. Crop number 5. Green onions. Green onions are one of the most forgiving crops you can grow, especially in January. They tolerate cold soil well and do not require deep planting. Their shallow root systems allow them to grow in containers, raised beds, or small spaces without issue. Green onions establish quickly and begin producing usable growth early, which gives gardeners immediate feedback. Harvesting does not weaken the plant, it strengthens it. Cutting green onions encourages regrowth and thicker stems over time. Even inconsistent watering rarely causes permanent damage. Green onions also recover quickly from stress, which makes them ideal for beginners. January planting allows them to establish without competition from aggressive summer crops. Over time, they become one of the most reliable kitchen garden staples. Crop number 6. Beets. Beets are one of the most rewarding crops to plant in January because they respond beautifully to slow, steady conditions. When beets are planted early in the year, they don't rush their growth. Instead of focusing on rapid leaf expansion, the plant quietly builds a strong root system beneath the soil. This slow underground development allows sugars to accumulate naturally in the root, which is why January-grown beets are noticeably sweeter and more tender than those planted later. One of the greatest advantages of beets is their flexibility. You can harvest the leafy greens early without harming the root's progress, giving you fresh food while the main crop continues developing. Beets do not need rich soil to perform well, but they do appreciate consistent moisture, especially during early growth. Overwatering or excessive fertilization can actually reduce root quality, so a light, balanced approach works best. Beets grow quietly, often without much visible change above ground, which teaches gardeners patience. When harvest time finally arrives, pulling smooth, deeply colored roots from the soil feels like uncovering something earned through timing rather than effort. Crop number 7. Turnips. Turnips are perfectly suited for January planting because they thrive in cool, stable conditions that encourage balanced growth. When planted early, turnips establish strong roots before spring temperatures rise, which helps prevent stress later in their development. One of the reasons turnips feel easy to grow is their adaptability. They don't demand perfect soil and can perform well in average garden beds with minimal preparation. Both the roots and greens are edible, giving gardeners multiple opportunities to harvest from a single planting. The greens can be harvested young and tender, while the roots continue to grow beneath the soil. January temperatures slow growth just enough to improve flavor, preventing the roots from becoming tough or overly sharp. Turnips respond well to consistent watering, but do not fail if care is occasionally inconsistent. Their reliable growth pattern makes them a dependable crop that quietly produces without demanding constant attention. Crop number 8. Carrots. Carrots are one of the clearest examples of how timing influences quality, and January planting brings out their best traits. Cool soil slows carrot growth in a way that benefits the final harvest. Instead of developing quickly and irregularly, January planted carrots grow slowly and evenly, forming long, straight roots with excellent texture. This slow pace allows natural sugars to build, resulting in sweeter carrots with better crunch. Early planting also reduces stress during germination, which helps prevent forked or misshapen roots. Carrots require loose, well-drained soil at planting, but once established, they are remarkably low maintenance. They don't need frequent feeding and grow quietly underground, often unnoticed until harvest. This hidden growth teaches gardeners patience and trust. When carrots are finally pulled from the soil, their quality reflects the calm, steady conditions they experienced from the beginning. Crop number 9, lettuce. Lettuce thrives in January because cool weather keeps it focused on leaf production rather than survival. When planted early, lettuce develops strong roots that support steady, controlled growth. Loose-leaf varieties are especially forgiving, allowing gardeners to harvest individual leaves while the plant continues growing. January temperatures slow lettuce just enough to prevent bolting, which extends the harvest period significantly. Lettuce does not require deep soil or heavy fertilization to grow well, making it ideal for containers, raised beds, or small garden spaces. Consistent moisture is important, but lettuce quickly shows signs of stress, giving gardeners time to correct mistakes. January-grown lettuce is crisp, mild, and resilient, providing steady harvests when other crops are still settling in. Crop number 10, radishes. Radishes are one of the most satisfying crops to plant in January because they deliver fast, visible results. Even in cool soil, radish seeds germinate quickly and begin forming roots within days. January temperatures slow their growth just enough to improve texture and flavor, preventing bitterness and hollow centers. Radishes do not require rich soil or precise spacing to succeed, which makes them ideal for beginners. They also serve as excellent companion crops, filling spaces between slower-growing plants. Radishes mature quickly, often ready to harvest in just a few weeks, providing early success that builds confidence. Their speed and reliability make them a perfect reminder that not every crop requires patience to be rewarding. Crop number 11, broccoli. Broccoli benefits greatly from January planting because cool conditions allow it to develop strong roots and healthy foliage before forming heads. Early planting reduces stress and helps prevent premature bolting, which is a common issue with later plantings. When broccoli establishes itself slowly, it becomes more resistant to pests and environmental fluctuations. January-grown broccoli focuses on building a sturdy framework of leaves that support head development later. Consistent moisture is important during early growth, but broccoli does not require constant feeding to thrive. Over time, the plant grows predictably, allowing gardeners to anticipate each stage of development. When heads finally form, they are dense, firm, and flavorful, reflecting the calm conditions under which the plant matured. Crop number 12, cabbage. Cabbage is a crop that truly appreciates January planting because it prefers slow, steady growth. Cool temperatures encourage the plant to focus on forming dense, tightly packed heads rather than rushing leaf production. Early planting reduces pest pressure and allows cabbage to mature naturally without stress. Cabbage requires space and consistent moisture, but once established, it does not demand frequent attention. The long growing period rewards patience with substantial harvests. January-grown cabbage often develops better texture and flavor because it matures gradually. Watching a cabbage head slowly tighten over time is a quiet but deeply satisfying experience that reinforces the value of early planting. Crop number 13, garlic. Garlic is one of the simplest and most reliable crops to plant in January. Once planted, it requires very little care until warmer weather arrives. Cool temperatures encourage garlic to establish strong roots before top growth begins, which is essential for bulb development later. The long growing season allows bulbs to grow large and evenly, resulting in better yields. Garlic does not need frequent watering or fertilization, making it ideal for low-maintenance gardeners. Much of garlic's growth happens unseen, beneath the soil, reinforcing the idea that good results often come from patience. When harvest time arrives, the reward feels earned through timing rather than effort. Crop number 14, onions. Onions planted in January focus on root development first, which sets the foundation for healthy bulb formation later in the season. Early planting reduces stress and allows onions to grow steadily as temperatures rise. Onions adapt well to different soil types and do not require constant attention once established. Slow, consistent growth leads to better storage quality and stronger bulbs. January planting also gives onions a head start, allowing them to mature fully before extreme heat arrives. Over time, onions become a dependable crop that rewards patience and consistency. Crop number 15. Spinach. Spinach thrives in January because it naturally prefers cool temperatures and steady growth. Early planting encourages strong root development and extends the harvest window significantly. January-grown spinach produces sweeter leaves with better texture than spinach grown in warm conditions. It does not require heavy feeding and performs best with consistent moisture. Harvesting outer leaves encourages continued growth without stressing the plant. Spinach grows quickly enough to provide early harvests, yet steadily enough to remain productive over time. Its reliability makes it one of the best crops for bridging winter into early spring. January is not a waiting month, it's a foundation month. These 15 crops prove that starting early leads to stronger plants, better flavor, and earlier harvests. If this video helped you see January differently, make sure you like it, subscribe to Daily Plant Life, and turn on notifications so you never miss what to plant next. Let me know in the comments which crop you're starting with. And as always, keep growing with Daily Plant Life.